Hello, folks. So today we have a second guest in the series for resources. So today we're going to have Djenaba, and she owns Hudson Kitchen. It is a New Jersey resource for people building food businesses. So you're going to want to tune in. You won't want to miss it. Hey, Djenaba, so excited to have you here with our friends that are tuning in, listening, watching, that are part of the Essential Ingredients community. And I'm so excited for them to hear from you today because let's give them some insight to who you are. You are a founder that started something called Hudson Kitchen, which is for founders. So, Djenaba, would you please give our guests a little insights?
Absolutely. So first, thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate it. As Justine mentioned, I'm actually Djenaba Johnson-Jones. I'm the founder of Hudson Kitchen. We are a shared commercial kitchen and storage facility based in Kearney, New Jersey. So we're right outside of Manhattan, about 5 miles. And I started this business kind of by accident. It's become like a real labor of love. I really enjoy working with a bunch of entrepreneurs. We actually rent our space out to about 20 food businesses right now and over 60 since we opened the kitchen 5 years ago.
Wow, congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you.
And is there any niche for these businesses specifically? Like, is it just across the board? You could be any kind of food company, or do you focus on supporting a certain kind?
Sure. So we focus on CPG food businesses, so consumer packaged good, food and beverage. But we also have in our kitchen some meal prep companies that ship nationwide. So kind of all packaged to kind of the same thing, and then a couple of food trucks as well.
Wow, that's super fun. So, anything we've ever heard of out here in California?
So it depends on who you are. So we have a company that some of your listeners may have heard of. It is for postpartum moms, and so it's called Chio, and it is a meal prep company, and they ship out twice a week from our facility all the way across the country. So
Awesome. That's great. I just got some meal. Oh no, it was prepared foods,
sure.
but from a company in New York called Thistle.
Oh,
That
nice.
right, you know who
Yeah,
that is, right? So
yeah.
they were great. We thought they were really, really good. They're plant forward. They do have some other proteins, meat or fish proteins. And I'm always a little bit skeptical, not about the food, but about the view I have on the food that's prepped that comes in all the plastic. Because if I buy the things individually, I don't have the plastic, I don't have all that other stuff that goes along with it. Um, but I am from New York City, so I grew up learning how to get delivery from the age I could dial. So it's a hard habit to break, as that song says. It's a hard habit to break, right? But as our values change and we learn more about the impact it's having. But equally, I was just having this conversation with somebody else. Think about all the people, the single moms or the elderly people or the people that have arthritis and can't cook. Like, should they suffer because of that? No, they should be able to eat healthy foods.
Many of our brands actually have recyclable and biodegradable packaging products, so it works out kind of really
That's
well
amazing.
for them. I did want to mention too, we have a company called Yay Snacks. They are a Cambodian beef crisp launched by three founders. It's completely delicious. They make it right out of our facility, and they ship also nationwide. Have done really well on TikTok shops. I was like, it was just grown by leaps and bounds in that area. So
Wow.
super, super fun. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to try that
For
too.
sure,
So,
yes.
since I took us on a little bit of a detour
Sure.
talking about those foods, while they're part of what you do, this is really meant for as a resource for our listeners, our viewers, and people building better for you food businesses or just building food businesses, right? Specifically as it relates to CPG because you're a resource. So, what inspired you as a founder to build something for a founder?
So I was laid off from my job back in October 2014 and decided I wouldn't go back to work, that I would launch a business. And it was supposed to be a fitness business. So imagine it's like a concierge service. So like imagine like you're a busy executive and you want to work out, but you don't know what to do. So we kind of help you find the classes or like send you a personal trainer to your home, that type of thing. And as I was preparing for that, a friend of mine said, "Well, what will we eat?" And I was like, "Oh, well, I can solve that problem." So I found a chef and we started to create recipes in order to launch this meal prep company. And as I was doing all this research on how to start a food business, I realized there was such a huge need, A, for education about how to get started, and B, for just space in general. In the area where I am, At the time, I'm in New Jersey, there were only 6 24-hour commercial kitchen facilities. Most people were going to churches or restaurants after hours to make their food in order to sell, to the public. So that's kind of how this got started. And along the way, I just abandoned my own like food business dreams and kind of went all in on Hudson Kitchen and helping others. So
Wow. So that's exciting. I mean, what a big leap. But obviously, what I think is so empowering regarding what you said is that you had one plan, but as an entrepreneur and looking at a business, you knew when there was something else that really you needed to focus on and make that pivot or shift accordingly. And I know that can be a struggle for so many because they have this focus, right? Where they're like, I'm doing this and have blinders on so they don't see other opportunities. So I think that's amazing that you were able to, go from one thing and then say, you know what, this is what we need.
no, thank you. Like I have to be honest, like it was the first time in my life I've ever just kind of gone with the flow. I like, started researching one business idea and ended up at another. And actually, I realized I was having so much fun, really like figuring out how I can work with entrepreneurs and kind of just went that way. The first time in my life, I am very much like, as you mentioned, like by the book, I'm like, I'm going to do this thing. Here's the plan and here's what's going on. And I kind of had to abandon that. So I totally get it.
Yeah, no, and I think it's important for our listeners and our viewers to hear that as entrepreneurs, that that's part of the process. You're doing it right if you are listening to that and adjusting accordingly, right? So as you open this up, I'm sure as part of your research, you were trying to figure out, okay, what do these people need? What's missing? Where's the void? And what kind of support do they need? So can you walk us through that and what inspired your decision behind that? What was like the big need that you found, aside from the lack of kitchens, but in terms of the whole resource?
Sure. So I'll give you a little bit of background on kind of how I got to this point. So my corporate career, I worked in a marketing department, and we had a research team, and I learned how to create these research studies. So when I was like wanting to launch this business, I created a research study, worked with some local bloggers, sent it out to food businesses, and got some feedback. So it was like a 17-question survey. Did a little incentive where we gave like a $50 Amex gift card and got a bunch of responses. So that kind of helped inform what we were doing. In addition to that, one of the things I mentioned to you is I realized that education and like resources and information were really important for these entrepreneurs. And so we launched a series of networking events. So that was the first thing we did. And the first one, I was so nervous. It was March 2016. We happened to have a 80-degree day.
What, in
So
March?
exactly, it was insane.
Okay.
Like I was wearing sandals, like it was fantastic. But on that day, we had this event where we had 75 people show up, 15 food vendors sampling their food in a panel discussion, and I was like, "This is it! Like there's actually a need for kind of what we're doing, what we're trying to do." So I used those networking events to kind of mold what we were going to build as I was looking for real estate because that was the thing that took the longest to do.
Right. And it
Yeah.
was probably expensive too, right? So
Yes.
I mean, when you're thinking about what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, and that is your most expensive ticket, you got to figure out how that's going to happen.
Absolutely. And it took 4 years to find a location. So it
Wow.
was just like a bunch of trial and error, a bunch of putting in contracts that were eventually like not signed by the owner of the building. Like this craziness happened. And finally a friend of mine was like, you really should just find a warehouse to rent and build out the space that you actually want. And so we did that. So we took an empty box that's 8,000 square feet and converted it into a commercial kitchen, putting in everything from HVAC to the hoods to the walk-ins, and making it a
Wow.
true co-working space. I was able to get an SBA loan to help to fund that. Along with my severance package that I got from my job, we kind of like put all that in, and we have, my husband and I have a little skin in the game, and yeah, we were able to build out this facility. It's crazy. My first construction project happened to just be really large, and I'm so glad that we did it that way. It's great.
That's amazing. I mean, and that's taking a leap of faith. And also, being your own investors. Many people say you should never invest your own money, right? You've heard that.
Right.
So, what made you decide to go the route of taking an SBA loan and putting your own money in versus trying to get institutional or, angel funds or?
Um, Honestly, like I wanted something that I could call my own and not really have to answer to anyone. I mean, obviously we answer to the bank to make sure that we know we're, making the payments on time. But other than that, like we were kind of just able to do kind of what we needed to do to have the business and grow the business. But also like we were at like this YOLO point. Like also I got laid off from my job. My husband was in the process of getting laid off from his job. Yeah, he actually found out a year in advance that it was going to happen. He took a
Oh,
package. Yes. So we were
okay.
just like, hey, we're at this point in our lives. We have these kids. What's going to happen? What do we want to do with it? What do we want for our future? And we're like, we want to launch this business, and this is what we want to do. So that's kind of what
Wow. So
we.
you guys are partners.
Yeah, actually, it's my business, but he's a silent partner, I would say. But yeah, he definitely has been extremely helpful, and to this day throughout the whole process of everything.
I mean, and I can relate, right? And I think so many people can relate that they want it to be their own business, but everybody's got a different vision. There's some people that are like, I want to raise money and I want to have an exit, and they've got a plan. And I think that you can't know, everybody's going to have a different plan for themselves, right? There's no wrong or right. It's what's wrong or right for you. So I really applaud your decision to keep it, home, invest your own money, go that route, and be able to build out. So now tell me a little bit more about these resources that are available at Hudson Kitchen for these founders of CPG companies.
Sure. So one of the first things that I did before even the kitchen opened was I created this PDF. It's just like 10 steps to starting a food business in New Jersey. And I think that that's been like a kind of a wealth of information just for someone that's just starting out, needed to kind of find out this information. It's free on our website to download. It has been for us the gift that keeps on giving, because when someone Googles how did I start a food business in New Jersey, that thing comes up and kind of drives people to our website. So it's been really great. In addition to that, I created what I call the Food Business Boot Camp. So it is a day-long course where we teach someone how to create a launch plan for their food business. And so we've been giving the course since 2017, and it's really great. And the other thing that we do, and we do I mentioned networking events. We started doing
Mhm.
them again. We actually just had one on Tuesday where we brought in a buyer from Whole Foods and a packaging expert and a retail expert, and came in and gave 10 of our member businesses like feedback, and they got to pitch their products. So like
Well,
those
that's
are the
nice. That's
types of things that are
amazing.
really
What a
exciting.
great
Yeah.
opportunity for
It,
for those folks.
and it was just a lot of fun as well. It was really good.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, through the network of being part of that, I'm sure that that also provides a lot of resource to your, would you say your businesses that are there?
Yeah, we call them
Um,
members. Yeah.
Members. Okay.
Yes.
I was looking for the word. You can tell, right? I was looking for the word. So your members. So how many members do you have?
So we it varies from time to time, but we're probably at about 26 members this year. I like actually it's interesting. Like there's other, obviously I'm sure you've heard of other commercial kitchens throughout the country, but we kind of focus on. We have a smaller number of members, but they're a little bit larger companies. So with
Okay.
us, we don't typically have the person that's just starting out. They're about 18 months into business when they come to us and have some traction in the business and are looking to grow. And most of our businesses are shipping out regionally and nationally. So they're really looking for that, like that growth. And we're kind of a part of their journey there.
Wow, amazing. So, are there any stories you can share from your members about the impact they've had from being part of Hudson Kitchen? Whether it's collaboration, whether it's, sort of a jumping off point, whether it's changed their access to be available in Whole Foods or Citarella or Wegmans?
Sure. So, because we're a shared facility, and I should have mentioned, like, we are a really shared facility in that, like, people are working together in the kitchen. So, there's a lot of opportunity for members and their employees to talk to each other. So, what I mentioned to you before, we have consumer packaged goods and meal prep. So, we've had actually this happens on occasion. Is we had one time we had a falafel maker, and they sold their product to one of our meal prep companies so they could do a vegan meal. So those types of things happen quite a bit, or someone's including again like a CPG product into a meal prep package that goes out for the week. So a lot of collaboration there, or sometimes it's just the sharing of resources. Someone
Hmm.
might know about packaging or about someone that can create their label or design their logo, and so they're giving those resources to each other. So that's pretty exciting.
It's like a
Yeah.
village.
Yes,
It's a
it's
village.
totally a village. Like we interview people that want to come and be members. We have them interview with current members just to make sure that it's kind of the right place for everyone, because it really is. I kind of use this word loosely, but a family. Like people really care about what's going on there at the facility, and they care about the other members that are there. So it's great.
So when you're interviewing potential members, right? Um, what differentiates you from others from their perspective?
So a couple of things. So as I mentioned to you, people, the businesses that come to us they have some traction in the business, and so because we are a shared facility, but we also do not rent by the hour. So our members pay a flat monthly fee so they can come and go kind of as they please. So they're really able to make a home, kind of for their business. So, and we also offer 6 and 12 month contracts with us. So that kind of keeps people. It allows you to kind of be with us. It allows you to grow your business. We also offer co-working space, so you can go in and work on your computer and get on the Wi-Fi. We People can accept deliveries there, so all times of the day or night. Any of the food distributors come. FedEx, UPS, USPS. We know them all by name. Have cell phone numbers for all of our delivery people. So like we really are really a full service space. And then there's plenty of parking, so no one has to be concerned about, especially being in the Northeast, as you may recall, like there's a lot of street parking, right? So we actually have a parking lot. So there's all
Wow.
those different types of things. And then I think it's just really the fact that we consider ourselves to be full service, and we're offering all the resources, like I mentioned, the networking event and that type of thing
Right.
to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a variety of co-working facilities, and then I've seen a variety of facilities where you have a shared kitchen. But it's new to hear of all of them in one fell swoop, in one home, which I think is really quite robust and nice. And it allows you to even take somebody on a walk around the kitchen to show it to them, but then go have a meeting also. So you don't actually have to leave so often. And I think that's really nice. So when people are looking for co-working spaces, and I know you mentioned that, you like to, so to speak, interview them and have them interview your community so that it's the right fit for everyone, right? Um, what would you recommend to those people looking to get a shared kitchen? What would you say to look for? What kinds of questions would you ask them to set forth in those conversations? Not necessarily to you, but to anyone when they're looking to join a shared kitchen. What are the things they should be looking for?
Some of the things they should be thinking about is how often they plan to use the kitchen. And also what type of product that they make. So, for example, a person called me yesterday, and they make spices. And I said to them, I was like, we're not the right place for you, because she was like, I just need a kitchen 1 day a week. And I'm like, you should go to an hourly kitchen. So like we kind of like to talk about like what type of product that they have, how often they think they're going to use the facility, and what is their plan for growth. And those are things that they should be thinking about as they're moving into a shared kitchen. Sometimes, as I mentioned, we might send someone to an hourly facility, and then they'll come back to us as the business has grown. And so that's kind of, we want to make sure that not only are our members in the right place, that people are in the right place in general. So we spend a lot of time on the phone just talking to folks and like making sure they have all the information that they need to make a good decision about a shared kitchen.
Yeah. So can you share maybe some fun collaborations that have come out? I know you shared the falafel thing, but has anybody created a new brand or created a fun collaboration out of the membership?
To think, we had one of the fun collaborations was, I mentioned the Cambodian beef jerky or beef crisp company. They actually, and I didn't realize this until we had a company that is an Indonesian company, that they actually prepared all their food in our facility, and then they worked out of a food hall in New York City. They were buying the Cambodian beef crisp to put onto their product as like a kind of a finisher, which I thought was
Oh,
really interesting, and like it was really good. So that was something that was a lot of
I
fun.
really want to try this Cambodian
You
product. I mean,
definitely have to have some. We make sure we get some to you. It is fantastic. You
well, not only does
will
it
love
sound fantastic,
it.
my cousin is from Cambodia. Like
Okay.
my cousin's from DC, but when he had a baby, they were in Cambodia,
Yeah.
and she's from Cambodia. And so I'm always interested in trying new things because there's a connection there. It's not just that it's interesting, and I love interesting things, but I feel like there's a connection.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We'll make
So
sure you get some.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, it would be interesting as another resource, right? As you build out these resources to actually give them a platform like these podcasts that you're on here, right? Is that something you do with your podcast?
Oh, yeah. So actually, I have a podcast called the Food Means Business Podcast, and we've been around for a couple of years. And we actually do from time to time feature our members on the podcast. I think it's fun to, be able to talk to them outside of the like the kitchen, the shared kitchen, and really get to know them and kind of introduce them to our broader audience. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I would imagine it seemed like sort of the perfect fit, right?
Yes,
Because it gives them a platform also to expand their voice.
absolutely.
Um, and here you are talking about, your Hudson Kitchen and everything that you're doing and all the resources that you're making available to them. And I think that's just another one to add to the list.
You're absolutely correct. Yeah.
So, what do we see for Hudson Kitchen in the next 3 to 5 years?
Wow, it's something I have been thinking about a lot. So I don't know if I can answer 3 to 5 years, but I will tell you within the next year or so we will be increasing the amount of events that we do. It was something that we did obviously before as we were building, building the business and opening the facility, and then kind of the pandemic happened and kind of got in the way of that. And so now we're getting back to our roots and really bringing people into our facility. I want to, I consider myself to be like a super connector. So I want to be able to connect that business, whether they're a member or not, with some resource that they possibly need. So events is what's going to be happening in the next year.
Sounds like
So
it's
I'm
all about
excited.
events.
All about events. Super excited about it.
All about events.
I
And do
love
you
it.
see any expansion possibilities for you down the road? I mean, you've cornered the market in northern New Jersey now, right? Um, but there's a lot of markets around you, and a lot of room for expansion because I see what you built is more like a food club, for lack of a better word,
Hmm.
because I
Hmm.
was thinking social club, but it's not a social club. It's a food club, or it's it allows people to cook and to connect and to network and access events. And to me, when I think of a social club, well, minus the working, that's what they're doing, right?
Right. Right.
So I think you've built out something that's a little bit that's unique, and I could see it expanding. I don't know if you've got plans for that to different cities.
No, not just that. Actually, honestly, I feel like we are a local business, and we will be here. There may be some expansion in New Jersey, but my
Okay.
goal is to be in a kind of a New Jersey based business and be able to support our businesses as they are expanding themselves nationwide. Sure.
That's super nice. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that that's amazing. It's always great to stay local too.
Yeah, that's true. One of the
It's
things I will say that we do is I mentioned our food business boot camp program. We do license that program to other kitchens in the country. So we
love
currently
that.
have a license going with a kitchen in South Portland, and so like we customize that just for them in their market. So there is that national expansion for us from an education perspective, but the kitchen will be the kitchen.
So maybe we'll see you in southern Jersey.
Exactly. Maybe you
Okay,
will.
maybe we'll see you down the shore. Maybe we'll see you, somewhere in central Jersey. You're gonna, take over New Jersey.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I love that. Awesome. Geneva, thank you so much for joining us today. I just want to make sure that our listeners and our viewers, if they want to know more, they want to tap into some of those classes, that they have access to it. So can you let me know what's the best way for them to connect with you or to learn more?
Sure. So our website is thehudsonkitchen.com. They can also follow us on Instagram at the Hudson Kitchen, and then we are Hudson Kitchen on LinkedIn as well.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining me today. And I look forward to continuing these conversations.
Thank you.
So I want to thank everyone for tuning in today, whether you watched the video or you tuned in via the podcast. I just want to make sure that everyone's got all our channels so that if you have been listening to the podcast, but do want to go to YouTube, you know that our Next Gen Purpose channel holds all of our essential ingredients podcasts or videocast, as it may be. And if you have not gone to Spotify or iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts, our podcast is available at essential.ingredients. To stay up to date on what we have coming up, don't forget to tune into our channel on Instagram at essential.ingredients. Look forward to seeing you here every week, Tuesday, for a new episode with me and this series focusing on our resources.